Hello everyone, I'm Professor Haase. This is CEIS150 Module 1. We're going to be building a stock tracking application using Python. A little background on the project is it's going to help us gain experience creating applications using Python. We're going to learn some object-oriented techniques that are going to help us develop this app. And by processing historical data of the stocks, we can develop profit and loss data that then we can turn into charts. And we'll be using Python libraries to create those charts. We'll also have data storage that allows the user to save and retrieve their stock data. In this part of the project, we're going to focus on setting up the environment that we're going to be using the next few weeks. So we'll sign up for a Replit account if necessary. You may have one from 110. We'll create a Python program, just kind of do a refresher. And then you have an optional section at the end where you can set up Git and GitHub if you want to have a repository for your files. Okay, so to start, we're going to create an account for Replit. If you already have one, you just log in. It's pretty simple. If you don't, if you need an account, then you'll click on Sign Up. And you'll see right here up in the upper right-hand corner, there's a blue button that says Sign Up right next to Log In. Okay, once we get logged in, we're going to create a rappel for the course project. Okay, so we have two places we can click. There's a gray button up here, Create Rappel, and a blue button down here, Create Rappel. Both of them take us to the same place and will allow us to grab Python for the template. That's number one. Number two, under title, you'll put in whatever title you would like to for your project. And number three, we click the Create Rappel button. Repel. I'm saying that wrong. All right, our page should come up looking like this. We're going to click on the green Run button just to test and see if this little test program will work for us. You'll see it runs down here, and up here in this web view, it gives us Hello World. Okay. We're going to hit the Stop button and close out this web view here. And I'm going to hit the trash can to clear the history there. Okay, we're going to come to this window here and delete all the text and type print Hello World, and this should be a little bit of a review from last session in 110, or whenever you took 110. Sorry, it may not have been last session, but you should have taken 110. So this was where we started there, just with print Hello World, and it's usually the first program you write no matter where you're starting off at. So since we're learning to use Replit.com, this is where we're starting. Okay, we're going to hit the green Run button, and you can hit it over here where you saw it or up here. And now you can see it printed Hello World. Okay, now we'll do a little review of Python. We are using Python to program with objects in this project. To review Python programming, we'll create a current prices program. This one will not be object-oriented. It's going to help us review some of the procedural processes that we learned in 110. All right, so on our REPL, we want to create a folder. So you can see here where the new folder button is. I'm going to click there, and we're going to type in CEIS150 and hit enter. You should see the folder listed above main. All right, and we're going to write a Python named prices.py, and I would change it, but we're going to have to look at how to change file names, and I'm not sure I want to do that this week. So let's just do it right here in main, and we can do it by adding the file there, but for right now, let's just type it right here in main. And what are we going to want that program to do? We're going to ask the user to input their full name and a minimum price. Okay. Then we're going to create a list of different prices. Remember, list. And then we're going to loop through the price list to add up all the values in the list and count all the values greater than the minimum price. Yes, and we create a total. So we've got how many are greater than our minimum price and the total price. Typically in software development, system analysts work with users, managers, and other people that do all the documentation. The guys who sit down to write it up, they're not going to know Python. So they're not going to write the code for you. They're going to give you what's called pseudocode, or it's kind of like a code. Not exactly like a code. Yeah. It's written by people who like to think they're programmers. No, I'm not going to say that. It really does kind of give us a basis to get started with. So they give us a couple of examples here. If the pseudocode said input employee name, we would have to turn around and convert that into the code that would actually input employee name. And so we'd create a variable, employee name, and then write an input statement and store the output of that input statement into employee name. All right, the input statement would just simply say enter the employee name. All right. So another example would if they said initialize count to 0, meaning we want the variable count to start at 0, not any unknown value. So we do what's called initialization. So in our code somewhere, we would write count equals 0. All right. So again, we're creating a program called prices.py, and we're going to use the following pseudocode. So you can or cannot, or you may or may not want to copy this example code that they gave us down here. I don't like to start from scratch. I'd rather start with something that I can work with and go from there. All right. So here in our code, they tell us that we need a count variable that starts at 0. So we have count equals 0, but then they also want sum that equals 0. All right. See what I'm doing there? Okay, next is inputting our full name, or inputting the name into a variable, and they specified full name. Now, it may or may not make a difference, but sometimes it does make a specific difference, and you have to write it exactly as it's specified. Here it's labeled full name. If there was a capital in there, I'd include that capital letter, because when it's specified in documents, then you want to use that, especially here because it's in bold. That's telling me that that's a keyword or a key variable, and it may be used from the past, and they're trying to incorporate it into the future, and it has to match. Okay, so we change name to full name, and then we have what is your full name. So we can leave that like it is, and it's all good. Okay, next is input the minimum price and convert it to a float. All right, well, we have an example here, but instead of temperature, this should be minimum underscore price. And what I'm going to do there is copy that and paste it everywhere I had temperature. That's text. I don't want it there. And I'm not replacing temperature list. Again, that one's text. I'm not replacing that, so I think I got them all. All right, so minimum price. What is your, and we're not going to say favorite because I wouldn't think that'd be a favorite thing to have as a minimum price. If it is, mine's 0, unless I can do -5 and get you to pay me every time I buy something. Or -50 then in that case, or -5,000. All right. So we have our minimum price coming in, and we're using float outside of the input statement to convert it to a float. All right. Create a list of prices, and they give us an example, and it matches the example we already have. And instead of having a temperature list, we're going to create this to a price list. Now, everywhere it said temperature list, I'm going to change it to price list. And, all right, I missed name. So right here on line 10, I need to convert name to full name, full underscore name, which is what I declared it as up top. All right, so now we have our price list, and you can feel free to change any of that you want. So now we're going to look at, for price and price list, add the current price to the sum. Okay, so for I in price list, add the current price to the sum. So we would take sum and you can see it's predictive, so it's asking me, do I want to add the previous value of sum with the value of I that I just picked up out of price list? And I do, so I'm going to leave that. And if I do that, then I'm going to need to bring this back here. Whoops, it didn't take. Sum equals sum plus I think I forgot to hit my tab because I was talking. Alright. Now, if the price is greater than the minimum price, so if I, which is the current price in the list, if that's greater than the minimum price, then we want our count to be incremented by 1. So count equals count plus 1. So I don't need to change anything there. That looks great. All right, and then hello full name, your favorite temperature. I'm going to change that to your M-I-N-I-M-U-M minimum price is. And there are count, and we don't want temperatures here. I want prices that are greater than your minimum price. All right, so now we've taken what they gave us with temperatures and we've converted it to our prices. And you can see that it is so smart. It says the total of all the prices is, and it gives us sum. I love this. So all I have to do is hit tab, and it takes care of the last thing, which prints out our sum. All right. So I'm going to give this a run. And it asked me for my full name, so I click over here and I'm going to put Christine Halsey. So when I get a screenshot of it, I can put it in my deliverable for this week. What is the minimum price? Our minimum price, I'm going to go with 82. All right, and there are 4 prices greater than my minimum price, and the total of all the prices is $789.999999. All right, now what you want to be able to do is take this and make conversions in here so that you can format the way the numbers are coming out. So that's my challenge to you, is to figure out how to put a dollar sign in front of there and limit it to 2 decimal places like you would in a standard application.